In this video, we're going to be discussing the definition list. Under Maintenance, you see Definition List. If I select that, we're going to talk about each of these and explain what their purpose is. We'll start out with Tender. If I select Tender, I could create all the different types of tenders. PayPal, any additional types of tenders not listed on here that is given to you by Positive. So like, for example, on store account, if I hit enter, I'm showing I have a tender code, a description, what's going to print on the receipt, what type is this going to be. It's going to be on account, what currency I want to use, can I use it for quick sale, open cash drawer whenever I use this tender, and always print a receipt when this tender is used. So this type of information is set up on a tender by tender basis. If it's cash and we hit in, and here we say we are going to use it on quick sale, we are going to open the cash drawer, and it's a cash type sale. Okay, so the next thing on our list here of tenders, we have currency. And you can create all your different types of currency. If you're, again, in Canada, you can use Canadian definitions. And exchange rates. So if you are working with both American dollars and Canadian dollars, you can set up what the exchange rates are, and that will calculate accordingly when it does invoices, etc. Invoicing. This is a little more complex. Here's our invoice layouts for our screens, not our reports, our screens. And here are all the fields that can be added onto the screens that has been given to you. And then you push those over with this little arrow key. So for example, if I wanted to have delivered, I highlight delivered and hit the arrow key, and now delivered is the last thing on my screen going across. And with delivered, I can go ahead and put my own headers on to say delivered. And that's how you create things for your own screen. And you do that for invoice types, for register types, which we really don't want to use. We only want to use invoice types. And also, if we're using show costs, what do we want to show? And here you see there's a show cost here. Standard form, there is no cost. Next thing on invoicing is buttons. We have an unlimited amount of buttons that we can create, and here's a list of all the different functions that buttons can create. And I've had things like item details, purchase history, set location, to pull things from which warehouse. So these buttons are set up by rows, and this, as you just say, this is the first row, this is the second row, the third row, and you just keep adding rows and putting things from this area onto those buttons. Next thing on is the touchscreen. This could be an hour or more in itself on how to design touchscreens. So I am not going to go into it on this video. I will in future videos. But here, just know this is where we go in and modify our touchscreens. And last is MultiMonitor Manager. This is where if you have multiple monitors at the counter, you can set up things to do videos while you're not ringing up sales in the store, like what's on special or what kind of sale you have going on. And as soon as you start to ring up a sale, it flips and it makes that a screen, a customer display, so they can see what you're ringing up, pictures, notes, things like that. Okay, the next thing is status setting, customer returns. Here's where we build all the reasons for the customer returns. And when we do that, we can say whether we want to return it immediately to stock if it's a return, or we want it to sit in the holding area under purchasing until a manager decides what they're going to do with the product. Is it good enough to clean up and repackage, or does it have to go on sale as a used item? RMA returns. This is the reason for the RMA returns. You get these as standard, but you can add additional ones. Service status. Once again, defaults that you can use to show the different parts of the service process. When some work is done, you could say it's in progress, it's waiting for a customer, waiting for a part, work is complete. That way you'll know the status of all the different work orders you have currently in your system. And call log is information about when a customer made a phone call to us or we make a phone call to them. We can have this call log to say what happened during that call. Did I have to leave a message? Were they busy and nobody answered? That type of thing. The idea is to save you keystrokes. Okay, so the next group is zip codes table. We import all the zip codes for you, so that's not much of a thing, but this is where you can go in and put information with default tax rates per ship to locations. Finance companies. You can set up finance companies here. So when you create an invoice for a customer and they're using a finance company, the invoice will be for the finance company with the ship to being your customer. And the finance company would be the ones that are making payments on account or paying the full amount. Warranties. Here's where we go ahead and we set up warranty codes, setting up what the warranty description is, 1 year, and then parts could be how many days, 365, labor could be 365. When does a warranty begin? When it's sold to the customer or when it's purchased from the vendor. Countries is just which country you're working in. Buyer groups is strictly for the positive for kitchen equipment, and it allows us to keep track of dollars that are purchased through the buyer groups, and it's like I say, it's only in the positive for kitchen equipment. Alerts list gives you the ability to set up what your alerts are and how often should you be alerted, and should you send a text message with the SMS texting. So that takes care of those. Now let's look at other is nothing. Barcode types is where you set the type of barcodes that you want your barcode printer to print. User-defined fields. This is, for example, for inventory. I have all these categories, and I can set up unique type, like for right now I'm using for inventory a cut sheet and how many cube this product is for each of the items for this company. And that is sitting over here, and it'll show up on your screens, and it'll also show up on your website if you add it to the websites. So this is a very powerful system because you could do lookups under the user-definable fields. Employee security groups. As you set up your security in your system, you can set it up by groups, so you don't have to set up a whole set of security for each employee. So if you have cashiers, you could turn things on or off in security here on whether or not they can or can't do certain things in the system. Desktop buttons, this gives you the ability to create icons on the desktop that'll take you directly to a screen. For example, if you set up a sales order icon, just clicking that will take you right to the sales order without you having to go through the menu system. Policy statements. Every type document has the ability to create a unique policy statement. So for invoicing, you could put your warranty and terms, for orders, for service, for quotes, contact pricing. All this gives you the ability to create internet orders. You can create all your policies that will print out on your documents. If you have multi-site stores at different locations that are all tied in and replicating their databases, this is some of the information that would be filled out, along with, can you view from this location? Can you view all site sales summaries, view all sites invoices history, view all local customers only, process AR wet location? So that's what this is all about here, is how are you going to handle your multi-site activities. Alert Manager, this is something that is sort of new and is still kind of being worked on, but it gives you this ability to set up alerts for certain people at certain times to let them know a certain truck is going to be coming in with product at this time and we need a tow motor to meet it. And last on this list is the SMS Manager. And this is where we go ahead and set up all the information to send out SMS text messages to people's phones for reasons that you choose, such as products come in that they've been waiting for on a back order, service work has been completed, you got a sale coming up and you want certain people to be notified that that sale is going to be for 5 days only. So that's where all this talking to the customer's cell phones comes in. Okay, so that finishes up our definition list and what the functionality is of that. Thank you.